Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Liv, and today we're going to do a flip through of my completed Wonderland 222 from 2024. We're just gonna get right into it. So, the first thing, I want to start with some like logistical stuff. This is the core version, and this is the A6 size, and it held up really well. I did keep it in a clear cover. This is a Midori clear cover. She's got some schmutz on the back, but that's okay. It did hold up really well, but I do want to show you, in the beginning of the year, see this gap right here? I put 12 pieces of vellum in there right away, and that happened instantly. And I was kind of worried that that would tear or something might happen to the spine because of that, but it was fine. There was no losing pages, nothing fell out. Everything's perfectly fine. So, just so you know. Otherwise, I really liked this planner. The only other issue I had with it was the paper. I don't love, this is the new Tomoe River paper, not the Sanzin, not the old, the new, and I'm just not as big a fan of it. It's all right, but my pen did bleed through quite a bit, you'll see. So I didn't switch pens because I was being stubborn, but it is what it is, I guess. So I still have Christmas decorations in here. I like to decorate the front of my planner because I flip through this a lot. I really like Hobonichi's stance of like it's a life book, and it does feel, it sort of becomes like my sidekick for the year. It just is with me all the time, and I look at it and like it. It's just an enjoyable thing for me. My word of the year was becoming. All of this stuff in here, I'm not going to tell you where everything came from because most of it came from Canva or Pinterest or just Google, stuff like that. Instagram. This was from Instagram. Or magazines. I also use magazines. The index, I really only did this because there was a page that said index, and so I did it. I didn't even update the end, but it's okay. The year at a glance. This is the yearly tracker. I use this as my health tracker. Mostly just, this isn't like an in-depth, it's just sort of a snapshot of the year. So I'll have when I had headaches, neck spasm, my cycle. Sometimes I track my weight, if I had a cold, things like that. This is one of the most functional spreads in my planner, and I love that I can see it all on these 2 pages. So I had like several headaches at the end of the year. So I then was like, well, I wonder if there's a pattern here, so I could really easily just look back over the whole year and see what was going on when I had a headache. So I really like this 2-page spread. This is one of my favorite things in here. This is the quarterly tracker, which I used for exercise, mostly just weight training. I also did a lot of yoga this year that I didn't write down most of the time, just because. So yeah, as you can see, it kind of fell off here in April and May, and then came back on in June. I love this quote. Exercise is a celebration of what your body can do. There's another part too that says, like, not punishment for what it can't. I also loved this spread. Like, this spread was very motivating to me because I could see, like, just looking back on it now, it's like, wow, you really did. You tried. You really tried. Of course, there's some gaps in there, but I also feel like if I need rest, I need rest. And I also learned this year that ideally, of course, I don't want to take weeks off at a time, but if I do, it's not the end of the world. I don't need to start over from scratch or zero, you know, it's like I don't lose all my progress just because I took a week off. And so that was something that I had to learn this year. So I loved this spread. I am doing very similar calendar spread in my planner this year so that I just really liked it. Okay, I'm gonna just go through page by page, but things are not like in chronological order all the time. This area was the routine tracker, which is one of the things that I loved about this planner. It has this routine tracker in here for every month, and there's a bunch of spaces so you can track up to 10 things each month. And I just thought that was really cool. But in actuality, I did not like it. Using it in practice, this doesn't appeal to me. This doesn't motivate me. In fact, this just kind of makes me feel bad it makes me feel bad about myself. So I abandoned this really quickly. I got to March and didn't fill out anything. So instead of just leaving these pages blank though, I made these into gratitude. So this is another part of my planner that I implemented again this year. I've done this before, but I fell off last year when things got rough. And so I implemented this again. This is one of my favorite practices in my planner, just a little bit about gratitude, something I'm grateful for the day. I experienced a lot of loss this past year, and I found that being grateful really helps kind of cut through that pain and the despair feeling that comes with grieving sometimes for me. And so I love this. This is also continuing to be implemented in my planner this year. And then also I didn't waste any pages. December is in here. Okay, so this is the only other thing that I didn't like about this planner is that the months are mixed in with the weeks. These are drawings with my daughter, but you can see this is the December weeks, and then it will go to January. I don't like that. I don't know why. Like, why not just have all the months together, you know? To me, I prefer that. That's how it is in, like, the Hobonichi weeks, and I prefer that setup. So, again, personal preference, but I did buy these cute little tabs. These are from West Dakota Stationery, and, sorry, hopefully that's a good angle. They're adorable. They're tiny. They don't add any bulk at the top, which I was worried about. So those solved that problem for me. So we can just flip straight to the month. Because I found when I was making appointments, if I was trying to look at something at the end of the month and then I had to flip through all the pages, I know it's not a big deal, but I didn't like it. So that's my only complaint about the layout of this planner. Otherwise, I do really enjoy the layout. So more gratitude. Prior to this, I was in the Hobonichi weeks, so it did take a little bit of getting used to having the weeks mixed in, and also the vertical weekly, which I actually do really like. So every month comes with a December or the previous month review and then an overview for the coming month. I tried to use this overview page a couple times, but it's just not how I plan. And then the monthlies, I like to keep my monthlies really sparse. I know some people are probably looking at this and like, wow, you didn't even use it. And it's like, no, I didn't. This served its purpose, and I like it being like this so I can see very clearly things that actually have to happen. I just like it that way. So and then we started the year. So I'm gonna just say at the beginning of the year I really was only using this as a to-do list. Well, a schedule and to-do list. That was it, and it was fine. It was working, but some days I didn't write anything. Grateful, not hateful. That was one of my themes this year. And yeah, tracking if my daughter was sick. But as you can see, it's pretty sparse. And I also was grieving here. My mother just passed away, so I was feeling not great about life. And yeah, I did start using the review page though to just sort of, have the month in review. So I made 4 sections: what I'm reading, what I'm watching, successes, and things that I heard. So this will evolve a little bit more. You'll see in the next section that it got a little bit cuter looking, I guess. This was the last time I used the overview page. This is just a list of things that I thought we might want to watch. Again, I like the minimal monthlies. I don't want it to look super busy. Yeah. So in retrospect, looking back on these pages, it's very clear to me that I was grieving, and that's okay. This still served its purpose, and I still enjoyed being in here. I still liked this planner. I wasn't using it to its full potential. This is the review that I was talking about. Just made it go all the way across so I had more space to write. And I really like this. When I flip back through this is something, like in a few years, if I flip back through this, I'll be like, oh yeah, kind of a little bit of nostalgia. Again, monthly. I started getting more into using this in March, and then, yeah, I just had something happen that was traumatic, and so I fell out of it again. And around this time, I kind of just wanted to Do you ever have those times where you just feel like your world is falling apart? So it's like the things that you can control, you really want to control. So it's like, I can control at least my planner. And so I went through a phase around here where I was just like, I don't like this planner. I want to change to a different planner. I'm so annoyed with this planner. And it's not the planner's fault. It was just my own personal thing. This is the West Dakota Stationery store where I got these adorable tabs. I like their little logo. So I think you'll see later too, I had a page that was like planner unrest and trying to figure out how I could stay in it. So I did stay in it, but it was rough for a while. I have to admit, like staying in one book all year, I like it because my whole year is in a book, but it's also, it can get kind of boring after a while. You hit a lull and then you're like, maybe a new book would be better. But it's not. So I tried to just stick with this. I'm like, I really like to have my whole year in one book so that I can just put it on the shelf and be like, that was 2024. Again, I love these pages. I did implement this in my planner for this year too, even though it didn't have a space. I'm making a space for it. This section here, I have talked about too. This is sort of like a dead space. I'll write stuff in here, but I'm never coming back to look at that. And I don't think I ever referenced these things again. Like, what am I? Oh, that's an ink type. Horse chestnut tree. That's all I wrote. So, you know, I probably will never come back to that. And that's fine also. These things, they all serve their purpose. I also learned this year that I personally function better with a much smaller to-do list. Like if I make a huge list, like to me this is a big list of things to do. And this stresses me out mentally. So I try not to do that anymore unless I know. Sometimes I'll write the list in after I already did the things. That's also fun. Very satisfying. This was the last week before summer break. My daughter got sick on the last day, of course. Yeah, just notes, random notes over here. For the overview page, sometimes I put the vellum. Like I said, I printed out all the vellum at the beginning of the year, but then some of it got too curly, so sometimes I just put something here. This was from Marissa Swinghammer on Patreon. Again, highlights of the month. I really like those. And yeah, this you can tell, this month especially in May, my daughter was out of school, so we didn't really have a lot of things going on outside of the house, and I just didn't really, I just didn't really use it that much, especially this week. I think, yeah, I was sick the week before. I was sick going into this week and just don't even write anything on that day. Yeah, kind of fallen out of it, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. But I wanted to move into a different planner. So what I did, again, I'm going to just show you things kind of out of order. Well, maybe I'll flip to that section. So for July, I was watching a video by Katie, of Katie's Craft Studio, and she was talking about her planner and how she wanted to switch to something else. And she said something along the lines of, instead of planner hopping, I'm going to just use this planner in a radically different way. And that really inspired me. It's like, yeah, there's no rules for this. I make rules for myself and then I get stuck in those rules. I don't need to follow the rules for my planner. So I switched it up in July. I used the weekly pages for gratitude. So this is all just gratitude. As you can see, this was when I started gratitude again in July. And then what I did is in the back, I did bullet journaling for a month. And that really changed how I used my planner for the rest of the year. Okay, so these are the note pages in the back. And so I was doing gratitude in the weekly and then came back here and I set up dailies basically for bullet journaling. I used to bullet journal for, I don't know, probably 6 years until I went to the Hobonichi weeks and then used that as a planner, a dated planner. And I've been in a dated planner since then. So for the past 3 years, I've been in a dated planner. But yeah, I just felt like I really wanted to switch to a bullet journal for 2025. But I remembered that I didn't love drawing out the weekly spreads. So I just made this little template on Canva and printed it out. I printed a bunch of them out and just kept them in a front pocket so that they were on hand. And then I would fill that out for the weekly and then do dailies here. And this kind of just made me remember that I really like to do a little bit of logging every day. I guess you could call it memory keeping too. It's like just something that happened today. A little thing that I did, something that I was interested in, a note about the day, something someone said, stuff I'm thinking about, sometimes nothing. You know, I just did a to-do, I didn't even do a to-do list. This was just things that were going on. Oh, I forgot. It was our anniversary and we had plumbing problems, so that was really fun. And then, so instead of like redrawing the weekly, I can just scoot it over like this so that I can get it for the rest of the week. So I really like that. That was sort of an experiment to see if I could do bullet journaling this way, and I did really like that. I ended up not doing that this year, but it's okay. It was still a fun experiment, and I could see going back to this easily. I like this, and it looks nice too. It feels cozy to me, and I like that. So yeah, notes about that's when Donald Trump was shot. Frustrations about YouTube. This isn't the life Godzilla wants for me. Things that I just see on the internet. And I would just print out little pictures from Pinterest or Canva to use. And I loved this. I thought this was great. I really enjoyed this. I like flipping through it. So that was July. So I did that in July. And then in August, I came back to the weeklies. I printed this out. I really didn't need it for this week, but I was just sort of experimenting still. And so then I just started writing little notes also. And as you'll see too, my to-do list gets smaller and I write more notes, which I prefer actually. This isn't just about things I have to do. I also realized that this year too, that my planner doesn't really help me be more productive. More organized, yes, but more productive, not really. And that's okay. I don't need it to make me more productive. It's just a companion for me, kind of. And I enjoy that. So yeah, these are just notes about something that's going on. I had a headache. I was doing yoga. My lab work came back good. That was sad. My dad and I, we went to get new phones and we had to cancel my mom's phone line. My mom passed away at the end of last year, so there were a lot of those types of moments this year. Yeah, I really like this because this is something that I can come back to and be like, oh yeah, I remember that, you know. September. Okay, so this month is when I really start to just love my planner, and I think it's going to be obvious, like when you're watching, to see how like this month or this week compared to like the end of June, you know, where I just was checked out. You know, like here's, that's 1 week, and then here's another week. And so even though this was kind of a sad week, it's still, I like how it looks. This just looks like life to me, more than the sterile blank pages earlier. I switched up my pen here. This is one of my favorite inks too. I think this also helped. This made my stuff feel more cozy. This is when I started doing classes for my yoga teacher training, so then I started using the timeline, which I also really like. I like this timeline here, so then if you have a bunch of things going on, you can see pretty clearly where you actually have time to do other things. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, and I also, I think, got simpler here too, because I would just usually I just use a marker, like a super tip, you know, the Crayola ones. And I would just do a border, maybe or not. Sometimes I would just use it as a highlighter and some washi tape and my pen. And I love how these spreads look. Quotes, notes to myself about how I talk to myself, notes on a yoga class I took, gratitude. This is one of my favorites too. And it's just washi tape and a pen and my pen, or a marker and my pen. And it just looks so cozy to me. It's like lived in. And I realized that this year too. I really enjoy looking at notebooks that are actually just used. I don't even care if they're decorated. Like, decorated is nice, but if someone is actually actively using their notebook and it's filled in and I just think that's so attractive. That's what I really want to see on YouTube, people using their notebooks. Because sometimes I follow a few people who are like, they only show the setup of their notebook and they never show how they actually use it. And I always think that's like, I want to see how you use it. What do you do with it? That's what I personally like. So yeah, quotes, stuff I heard, little notes about, oh, I had a dream about my little dog who passed away this year. Yeah, this year, did I show that one? No, that was another week. Again, super simple, just washi and my pen. And I love how these look. They just feel very cozy to me. Like, yeah, I used my planner. This was a hard year. It was a rough year. I was grieving. There was a lot of loss. A lot of hard things happened, but I grew a lot this year. And that's why my word of the year was so perfect at becoming, because I feel like I became a better version of myself, I guess I could say. Not the best. I'm always learning, but yeah, I started putting in my daughter's lunch when she needs to take a lunch on the monthlies, and also yoga focus for the week as well. So my monthlies got a little bit more filled in. Yeah, I love how my planner looks in these last few months. And I think that's obvious. You could tell, like, I really just got really into it. And I think that shows when people really like what they're doing and not just doing stuff because someone else is doing it that way. Yeah, I love notebooks, guys. And a notebook filled in is just, love it. Love, love, love. This, I switched inks again. I did not like this ink here in this context. This feels so cozy, and this feels not. So I switched inks again. This is Monteverde California Teal. I love this ink. It is one of my very favorite inks. It's beautiful. I don't know if you could tell, but it's a sheening ink, and it shades really well. Like, if you can see on Sick again, it just so yeah, some stickers from food, candy. There was a ton of candy. Terry's dark chocolate orange is one of my favorite Christmas treats. My dad got me a little tiny accordion for Christmas. That was really cool too. And then I wanted to finish the whole year in this book, even though the last day of the year was on a Tuesday. So I just did those 2 days, and then I covered the rest of the week with just a piece of paper I cut from a different notebook and did my review right here, because I accidentally wrote school stuff on the review there, not thinking. So this was my review. And yeah, I just love how these pages look. It's been really fun. It's been fun. I love flipping through my notebook. It's one of my favorite things to do. So then it comes to the note section. This was 80 pages-ish. So again, I'm going to just go straight through, but they're not necessarily in chronological order. So I would track my expenses in the back. These are my goals for 2024. A leg workout, some private stuff, February expenses. This I set up in the beginning of the year as a book collection, books to read, but I only wrote a few books and then never came back to it. So then later in the year, as you can see my brown pen, I came back and just used this page for notes, 2025 goals, quotes that I wanted to put in my planner. My daughter loves Tamagotchis, like loves them. So we do a lot of drawing of Tamagotchis. So again, this was supposed to be something else and I didn't use it. So I just came back and filled in with drawings. Oh yeah, planner unrest. This is the page I was talking about. Like, what is wrong? Why can I not? Oh, that's right. I started the year with a Kinbor journal, an A5, like page per day. That was a big part of my unrest too. I felt like I didn't like either book at the time and I wanted to switch it up. But I got over it. I got better. Doctor's notes, expense tracker. Again, cleaning plans this was a spread that I made at the beginning of the year and then never filled out. So I just came back and used it for notes about first aid training and then Tamagotchi stuff. Oh, the book log. This is another thing that I implemented this year. I have always liked people's book logs in book journals, but it feels like a chore to me and I don't like that. So I was watching Simone and she was doing a book log where she just wrote one sentence about the book. And that just sort of like clicked in my head. I don't need to write an essay about these books or draw drawings or print things out. I can just do like one little sentence. So that kind of was just a whole mindset shift for me. So this was my book log for the year. Super simple. Sometimes I would write more than a paragraph. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I just wrote, or excuse me, a sentence. Yeah, then the rest of my book log. I only read 13 books this year, apparently. That's not really true. I actually read a lot of other books, but they're not like fun books. They're like studying, so I don't put them in here usually. I did add some, like I put the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali in here and the Art and Business of Teaching Yoga. I read those for yoga school, but yeah, still I like it. This was a commemoration page for my little sweet dog Camille, who passed away this year. Just the best little dog in the world. I loved her so much, and I miss her all the time. This picture was of both of us. We both got very sick in 2022, and both of us, we so sick. I thought she was going to die, and I wasn't sure about myself either, to be honest. So I love this picture because we both got better. But then she passed away later from other stuff. So that was and I just wrote down all of her nicknames because we have a million nicknames for our animals. More expense trackers, random notes. This was the November expense tracker because, again, this page was just blank. I was going to do like an Instagram thing here and I didn't, so I just filled this in later so that I could use. When you get the smaller, this is the core version, you have a limited number of pages in the back, so I tried to use all the pages that I could. I didn't want to leave blank stuff in the back. Blog ideas, stuff about posting on Medium, exercises. I don't know if you say I had plantar fasciitis or I got it. I don't know how you would phrase it, but yeah, I messed up both of my feet this year over the summer. That was really fun. 2025 planner plans. This is when I was going to do the bullet journal. So this was like things that I wanted in here, how many pages they were going to take, things that I wanted to add. This is the bullet journal section again, so I'm just going to flip through that real quick. Notes. I was editing an article and it said, one thing is for curtain. I still get a kick out of that. Expense trackers again. Notes for yoga class. This was a memorial page for our other dog, Dexter, who also passed away this year. Like I said, 2024 had a lot of loss in it, but I grew and I learned. It was tough, but I made it. Again, just his nicknames and then some little pictures. These tiny pictures are printed on my, what is that little thingamajig? Kodak? Kodak printer. This little guy. I've had this thing forever. Kodak Photo Printer Mini 2. And I just use like a collage program to make collage and then cut it up. October expenses. As you can tell, I was really on top of it in October. Notes about yoga and stuff. Then gratitude. Notes about some articles I was reading and drawings with my kid. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Christmas list. I always mean well with these, but I never actually like finish, like they get out of hand real quick. More gratitude. These are just little pictures from magazines or Canva or Pinterest, stickers sometimes. These are those Amazon stickers. And December expense tracker. This is when my daughter saw I had made memorial pages for our two dogs that had passed away this year. She was like, well, Cadence needs her own page too. So this is our dog that is the last dog standing. This is Cadence, our pit bull, who was the baby and was never alone with us. And now we get to know her by herself, which is actually really nice. She's our little baby polar bear. And these were the last 2 pages of the book, or the extra pages at the end of the year. So these were just some quotes that I liked, and again, more drawings with my daughter. So I used almost every page. These, I guess these count. These were used, but they didn't get used to their fullest potential. And then these in the back are just like testing pages. I was showing my daughter some penmanship, and then these pages have like contacts in them, extra border tape, a drawing for my daughter, pen testing. I started doing this year, the washi, what do they call this? Washi extras? I don't know. I like this. It looks cute. And then the back. So I do cover the front and back covers with designs, usually from Pinterest, that I find just to give it a more personalized feel. I really like that. And then, so the other thing that I did, because this only had 80 pages in the back, I did kind of try to keep the use, what am I trying to say? I was trying to be not precious with the pages, but aware of how many pages I was using and how much I would need for the rest of the year. So I like to do daily affirmations, and I knew if I put them in here, I would just run out of pages super fast. So I instead used these little pocket notebooks. I used 4 of them through the year. They would just slip right here in the back. Real simple. And these have my daily affirmations. So I'm not going to show you this one because this one has like more personal stuff in it. But then this one, yeah, it's mostly just daily affirmations. I kind of refined my affirmations. I stopped doing them for a long time at the beginning of the year when I just was not in a great place. This one has more yoga notes in it. Again, I love a used notebook. Like this just, even though this isn't really, there's not much going on in here, I think it's nice to have a notebook that I actually use. And because these were so cheap, these were the Twone notebooks. These two were the Twone notebooks from Amazon. They're like $1 each. So I felt like whatever, I can just put whatever in there. And so they have a lot of notes about yoga classes that I took. Yeah, that was a business class. So again, I just love a used notebook that just is so attractive to me. It doesn't need any kind of decorations in it. It's just, you know. So I use these. So I would just fill these up and then put a new one in the back. And then this was the one I ended with. This was all affirmations. I don't think there's anything interesting in here. So there were a few pages left, but overall, yeah. So that was my Wonderland 222. I am not using one this year. I'm now in 2025, but I did really love this planner and I would go back to it. I know that on the website they said this year was the last year that they were going to use the new TRP. So maybe next year, hopefully they have the sans and paper and that will be a little bit better. I also recommend, if you don't have one, to get some blotting paper. This is the Herbin blotting paper from Jet Pens, I think. And I just sliced it down to fit. This helps with the smearing and all that stuff in there. So yeah, thank you guys for following along with me. I hope this gives you some inspiration or ideas on how to use the planner. I know I'm not like revolutionary, but again, just use your notebook. Use it however you want. It doesn't have to follow any rules or look like anybody else's. Just do your own thing. And you'll love it. You'll like it because it's yours. So thanks for hanging out with me this year while I went through this planner and used it. And I appreciate everybody subscribing and commenting. Thank you guys. And I hope you have an awesome 2025. See you around. Bye.